How can you overcome the soft selling stage, get out of the friend zone, and start to make a sale? Or perhaps you're wondering how to pick your niche. Just some questions we're going to cover today, so I'm excited to jump in. Hi, I'm Michelle Terpstra, and I am the founder of Sunday Sales Delight, your exclusive Sunday newsletter for sales pros, sales leaders, sales teams, and of course, entrepreneurs. How do you get someone out of the friend zone and into the buying zone? Now, this comes up really a lot, especially when you're using social media, relationship-based sales, networking-based sales, referrals. All of those things, they can end up getting you into what I call the friend zone. And inside the friend zone or the soft selling stage, it's difficult to transition from building a relationship and rapport into asking for the sale. So typically what I like to do is actually really simple. So when you're building rapport and you're asking all of these questions, pick a transition question, and it can be soft too, but have it relate back to what you sell. So for example, if somebody was asking me a bunch of questions that were sales related, leadership related, scaling related, and I wanted to position myself to sell them one of my courses or for them to jump into the premium access level of Sunday Sales Delight, I would ask them a question related to what we're talking about that ties them back to sales. So, for example, let's say somebody messaged me and asked me about, hey, Michelle, I'm really struggling with like this specific objection around having to get approval or ask their spouse. It seems like I'm getting stuck right there, okay? So I always I'll answer, hey, and maybe I'll even put it on this, right? So I'll usually give some type of answer, and then I'll go back and I'll say, do you think there's other things in your business, sales related, that you would want continual support with? Or is this just a one-off situation? So the reason why I ask that is it's either one answer or the other. I don't leave it open-ended so that I get the response, right? So typically, there's never just one sales problem to solve. So the answer would come back to, I think I would really benefit from consistent support. So now I've transitioned out of that friend zone and into the selling space, and I can start to talk about how I can support people, okay? So that's what my recommendation is for anyone who's feeling like they're stuck in the friend zone, is give a little piece of value and then ask them a question back that they're able to answer easily that guides them to you as the solution. How do you stop overthinking your offers? Now, the number one thing here is that entrepreneurs, really great entrepreneurs, typically have interest in multiple things, okay? It is really difficult for an entrepreneur, a visionary, to stay super focused in one area. So as soon as there is the next opportunity or the ability to pivot, entrepreneurs are really tempted to do so. And so first I want to address the temptation that occurs when you want to switch and how you can do that, okay? So first of all, you want to be known for something. I am known, some people call me the GOAT of sales, okay? I'm going to stick there. It is my lane. It doesn't mean that I can't talk about other things. It doesn't mean that I can't help people with things slightly outside of sales. Like at this point, as a chief revenue officer and years as a consultant and a chief sales officer for multiple organizations, you can bet your booty I'm talking about more than just how to close a deal. I'm scaling teams. I am talking to leadership. I'm talking about wellness as we become leaders. I have Sunday Sales Delight. So there are auxiliary things that are happening, but I know my lane is sales, and that is where I'm staying. So I want you to also stay in your lane and really commit to that. And if that's something that you struggle with, I want to remind you it's easier to sell something you're the expert as instead of constantly trying to create all of these different offers, okay? And you can find ways to, I like to say, scratch that itch without changing your offer entirely, okay? So the other thing here is that when you want to change your offers for really valid reasons, so you want to stay in your zone of expertise, but perhaps you want to transition from a done-for-you service like an agency model or a service provider into coaching or courses. Or perhaps a hybrid of the two and you want to offer day rates. So I love a day rate, and I'll explain that in just a second. Michelle, I've created an offer I do not want to fulfill. It is stressing me out. I don't want to sell it, and I don't want to fulfill on it. That happens, friends, more often than not, right? So if you are not wanting to show up for your sales calls, the sales calls aren't converting, you can tell that you're energetically misaligned, plus you don't even want to get the client because then you don't even want to fulfill on it. Now we have a valid reason to be shifting and pivoting, okay? So what can you do? So first of all, there's different types of buyers who want a done-for-you service versus like a course or a coaching program, right? Typically, courses and coaching programs are most successful when you're selling to people who need coaching, okay? So people who need coaching, or people who want courses to just quickly download information for like templates and setting up systems, SOPs. Like I often buy courses just for the deliverables that are in there. And sometimes I don't even listen to the trainings. I just need the templates, the SOPs, or the processes, and that makes a ton of sense, right? When it comes to coaching, then that is also like a different buyer. So for example, I'm gonna give you I like to give tangible things, right? Let's say you are a social media manager, okay? So that is a done-for-you service, correct, right? Okay, you're gonna do someone's social media, but you don't really wanna do people's social media anymore. So now you wanna go to coaching, right? Well, typically that's two different buyers. So you have to be really, really prepared for that to have two different buyers. So someone who wants you to coach them on their social media either has a team member who's going to do it for them or they're going to do it themselves. Somebody over here, right, who you've been doing social media management for isn't interested in then losing that service and going over to coaching. That would be a very rare case of conversion. So you need to be prepared that you'll have a different buyer, right? So what do you do? What do you do if you don't have that other buyer? And one is you can work towards that, building your social media presence and your list presence to serve that client base, or you can simplify your done for you. Okay? And this is what one of my recommendations is when it comes to day rates. So I call them VIP days, but a lot of people also call them day rates. It means that someone purchases you for the day and you fulfill on a service, okay? So when I was doing a lot of VIP days, a lot of times it was creating new offers, sales scripts, objection handling vaults, reviewing sales calls, updating scripts. Those are all things that literally, you buy me for a day, I sit down, I work with you all day. Some of it's together, some of it is separate. And at the end of the day, you get this beautiful present with a bow on top, okay? And it's awesome. So that is a great type of offer to transition from full retainer services into a different type of service that does not require you to be on all of the time and fulfilling on the service. So if you take the social media manager example, perhaps what you do instead of constantly managing everything all month, you transition to you have a content day where the client provides you whatever they need to for you to fulfill. You create all the content for the day or for the month and you schedule it in one day. Now this takes you being really darn good at your own processes, right? But you can do it, okay? And then you schedule it. You deliver it with a bow on top and you say, see you next month, okay? That is an option. And it is a beautiful option. And there is a perceived value that increases when you deliver something so beautiful and so juicy and worth so much in one day versus retainer. So you actually can make a substantial amount of increased cash, more money, doing VIP days than typical retainers. And your stress level typically goes down because you're not constantly having to service the client. Okay, so those are some of my recommendations around pivoting and how you get out of a fulfillment requirement that you no longer want. And I also just want to say it's okay to change. Like our life changes personally, professionally, and it's okay to be changing your offers. However, I do not do an impulse. No impulsivity, please. Okay, if you feel the itch, I want you to talk to your mentor, your coach, your business bestie, whoever it is. Talk about it out loud, have a conversation, communicate, and see how you feel afterwards. Perhaps you just need to make small tweaks versus throwing everything out and starting all over. And after, maybe 30, 45 days, if you still feel the same way, let's make a shift. Okay? Awesome. Thank you for that question. Let's keep on moving. And by the way, if you are loving this and wondering, hey, how do I get my question to Michelle? It's really, really simple. Go to SundaySalesDelight.com and subscribe to my newsletter. And the next time it hits your inbox, just hit reply and let me know what questions you want me to answer. All right, so our last question from this week is all about the riches and the niches, okay? Niche, niche, whatever way you want to say it, tomato, tomato, okay? So let's jump in and not argue about the pronunciation of that word. So it is absolutely critical that you have your niche. Niches are really, really important, but the misconception of what a niche is really, really common. So it doesn't mean that you have one person, one offer, one problem, okay? You don't have to have them layered like that. You can solve one problem, and the people that come in for the solution of that problem vary. Or you target the person, and the solution slightly varies within. There are multiple different ways that you can select where you want to narrow in. However, what is so critical, especially if you are in the coaching, consulting, or service-based industry, please listen. If you want to make your life easier, please market and want to sell to people that have budget and money to pay you, okay? You are not a nonprofit. If you want to be a nonprofit, which I have recommended to a few clients in the past, that's fine. And then you can go help the deserving people that need you, but you need to make money. You are a business. So please only create things people can pay for, okay? Now, you may or may not like that answer, but that is the truth, my friends, okay? So that is the number one rule, okay? Number two is do some research, okay? Who are the competitors? How do you create, if you're going to compete in a highly competitive market, how are you going to differentiate yourself? That is absolutely critical. And it's not just you as the personal brand, but the product, the delivery, the way that people work with you has to be very unique, and you have to get results faster than somebody else to break into a crowded market. And the cool thing is you often can make just a tiny shift to who you serve in order to create your entirely different category of service, okay? Also, do the research. So once you land an idea or a niche, this is what you can do. Go to Google, okay? Oh, hey, Google. And put in a question you think your prospective client would search for. So for example, how to hire my first sales rep. I get that question 4,000 times a month, okay? So I typed that in and I saw all the results that came back. And then underneath there, Google actually tells you what else people are searching for related to that search term. Can you believe it? So this helps you create your hooks and content. It will also help you build your offer based on the way that people have intent online. Buyer intent is critical, and Google can help you build this out. Okay? The next thing that you do after you have your offer and who you're gonna help, the problem, everything's nice and tight and perfect, I want you to go to 10 perfect prospects and introduce this offer and get their feedback. Pay attention to their objections, or hey, maybe you'll get lucky and you don't get any, but most of the time we get some objections, right? But you can use the objections to further refine the offer, okay? So, for example, let's say that you help people create YouTube videos, okay? Since that's kind of what we're doing right now, right? Let's say you do that. And, a lot of people help people create YouTube videos, right? So how can you differentiate yourself? So you go to someone, you say, hey, I'm going to, you just have to give me 4 videos per month. I edit them, I put them on YouTube, I'm gonna handle views and followers, here are the KPIs. And you get the objection of, well, what am I gonna send you? Even if you tell me what to say, I don't know how to set up my office, I don't know about the lighting, how do you edit it out when I make so many mistakes and all of these things, like all these objections are coming out, right? So here's an opportunity. Let's say that you live in a metro area with a lot of opportunities around you. Then you can say, hey, no problem. So I'll actually show up at your office or your home office or whatever they are, whatever it is, once a month on Tuesday at 10 a.m. We're going to film from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and that's all we got. And I'll take care of everything else. Boom. Now that is an offer, okay? And you wouldn't have the opportunity to craft that if you don't go to people and talk to them, all right? So that is the way that you do it, my friends. So just a few recommendations, and clearly these are general recommendations I'm providing, and I hope they're incredibly helpful for you. If you feel like you need more guidance, I highly suggest that you jump into SundaySalesDelight.com, become a newsletter reader. I have so much stuff that's going out there each week completely free, and I would love to see you there. And of course, if you want more support, you can go ahead and grab that all access pass. See you all soon, everybody. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe.